A 9-year-old boy has been filmed telling his distraught mother that he wanted to die after being bullied. Quaden Bale's mother posted the video online of her son, who was born with dwarfism, after he suffered another day of bullying at school.
This is what bullying does. So can you please educate your children, your families, your friends?
The video has been viewed online now more than 4 million times, and Quaden has been invited to lead the Indigenous All-Stars side onto the field on Saturday night. Joining me live now is Lesley Podesta. She is the CEO of the Alannah and Madeline Foundation. Lesley, thanks so much for your time. Let's start on the positive. We've seen such an outpouring of support for this young man and his mother. The reaction has been encouraging, hasn't it?
It's been really encouraging, and I think what we've seen today are the positive impacts of social media building community and building support and helping people who feel distressed find their tribe and find some comfort in others coming to their cause.
This is not an isolated incident. How big is the problem as you see it?
Look, bullying is an issue that affects approximately 1 in 4 children in Australia every day. And sadly, what we see is that some children are overrepresented in those figures. Children with disabilities are overwhelmingly the targets of bullying in schools and in community. Some research indicates that 2/3 of children with disabilities report being bullied at least once a week. And in some research, we've seen more than 50% of children with disabilities reporting every day. Now, that's a big issue for our community, and I think having heard some of the stories that we've heard in the last weeks coming out of the Royal Commission into Disability, we have a genuine issue in our country about educating all of us about respect and communication for children, particularly with disabilities.
Now, Quaden is only 9 years old, so it was so heartbreaking to see and even harder to watch as a parent, I've got to say, Lesley. But I assume he's being bullied by other 9-year-olds, not adults, not kids older than him. So it's a difficult problem to tackle as well. Some would say kids will just be kids.
It is a difficult problem to tackle, but there are a couple of things that I would say. I think I read the mother's report and I saw her on television, and you know, she was a breaking point, but she was very careful to point out that the school has been fantastic.
Yes. And
that they've offered extraordinary support to her son. What she's arguing, and I think she's right, is that we need to do more to educate and to encourage this conversation and to build the resources that we need in our schools and our community to change attitudes and change behaviours. So what she was talking about yesterday was, how do we create a more empathetic school community and group of peers? And also, how do we encourage children to stand up when they see something happening within their peer group that's not right? Now, they're behaviours that we absolutely can model and teach all of us within a school. That's what a whole of school framework to prevent bullying really focuses on, is building that empathy, connection, respect and inclusion.
Yeah, we need to keep that front of mind. All of us as parents have a big responsibility here. Now, in another story, Lesley, that we've found difficult to grapple with this week, the words have been difficult to come as well. Perhaps the Courier Mail said it best today with this front page: "United in grief, we declare domestic violence to be unacceptable always," and a big screaming headline that says there are no excuses. How do we turn this outpouring of grief for this mother and her 3 children into something more concrete in terms of change?
I think this is a story that touched all of us. The horror, the fear, the distress has been overwhelming, and if this has meant that we are having the conversations that we need to have in every family about respect between family members, about how we keep our children and families safe, that's a really important first stage. But also I think that governments need to hear that our community has said we're over this, just as we said years ago that bullying is not acceptable, and we've turned bullying into a policy issue that we need to take seriously. Family violence is a scourge on our country. So I think it's really important that everyone is united to say it's unacceptable. We will not let this go anymore, and we're not going to find excuses for that type of behaviour. Look, anyone who is suffering with mental health issues requires and deserves the support that they need. But we have to take seriously. This is not something that happens behind closed doors. This is something that has immediate, direct and long-lasting consequences for all of the people involved. And at its heart, children have to be safe. We need to put the right investment into prevention, into education. And can I say, I was deeply distressed to see some of the comments by some of the police involved in this case. We have to take this seriously. There are no more excuses for that type of behaviour.
Lesley Podesta from the Alannah Madeline Foundation, thank you for your time.
Pleasure.